There are some big bads in the Sonic universe, and while many of them need to be thrown under the jail, there are some that were taken advantage of, abused, and wiped out of existence just for wanting to better their situation. My name is Jiggy. If you're new here, welcome. Been here a while? Glad you stuck around. Let's talk Sonic villains that deserved just a little bit better than what they were handed. Chaos is on the very opposite side of the spectrum because his story had a very full circle moment at the end of Sonic Adventure 2. Looking back at what he went through though, you can't help but feel bad for the guy. A child that just so happened to mutate after getting too close to the rock that was at the center of his home. With a new sworn duty to protect that same home and his fellow child, you do anything to keep the peace for as long as possible. Managing to make a friend outside of your own people, you grow to think maybe it's okay to start branching out some more. However, people that look distinctly familiar to your new friend show up and cause issues. When the harassment finally becomes enough and dozens of your fellow child brethren are now senselessly taken out without any rhyme or reason, you begin to crack. Eliminating every person you deem responsible, even by association. And when not even that one friend who you've given all your trust to can calm you down, you know things are screwed up. Then, forcefully being woken up thousands of years later still in an enraged state and hearing the culprit that released you barking orders is one thing, but you can tell that he's a means to an end. This newfound freedom and renewed desire for revenge on the world will have to take a back seat so that you can strike while the moment's hot. This may not be the same world you knew, but it's a world nonetheless. As mentioned previously, Chaos got his happy ending after purification and realizing that the Chao he thought went extinct were still alive and well in the modern age. To go through as much as he did in what we can only assume was a short amount of time would trigger anybody, but considering he's fared a lot better than the other two on this list, I say it's a small price to pay. Imagine that you and your other half are there at the end of time, chilling and enjoying each other's company. All of a sudden, you awaken to find yourself separated from them, with each of you encapsulated in a glass prison. A sharp, consistent pain crosses your body, and through the glass, you see something. Groups of your presumed followers who seem to be the culprits behind the predicament you find yourself in. Luckily, your power is too much for them, and you find yourself free of the prison. Failing to find yourself escaped or joined back up with your other half though, you're soon in prison yet again, but this time, in a man-made casket and a human girl that knows nothing of the world outside of their own desires. Since time immemorial, these two halves have been together, yet now find themselves torn apart by the folly of those whom you've shown nothing but mercy and grace. Anyone would want revenge, even if it meant the destruction of everything that you possibly helped to create. Solaris, or rather Iblis and Mephiles, had all the right in the world to be angry with those that did them dirty. Now, they had some serious and questionable methods to get this anger out with, especially when it comes to murdering innocent folks, but I digress. Getting ripped from someone you've spent your entire life with would drive anyone mad, but what happens if you choose to abandon that same person to further your own goals? A familiar tale of offering your assistance to those in need turned into a strong disdain for those same people, never seeing you more than a device to fulfill their own wishes. Thoughts of a rebellion begin to cross your mind, and after finding others in a similar boat, plans are in motion. Most of the inhabitants are standing with you side by side, but the few that oppose the idea happen to be some of the biggest roadblocks you could face, so you imprison them, just as you once were. Convincing your lover that this is the right course of action, you send her for the final piece of the puzzle. Little did you know, this puzzle piece wouldn't go quietly into your final picture. At each and every turn, this blue rodent that knows nothing of the true story of what you've been through is continuously getting in the way, but still moving things along as necessary, so you pay him no mind. At least until he challenges you directly. Proving to be more of an issue than initially thought, things begin to fall apart and you lose your cool. Everything you've worked so hard for is crumbling right in front of your very eyes. In a desperate attempt, you know that you can't go back to the way things were, and so abandon everything in hopes of ensuring that at least you can succeed, if no one else. Not even the woman that stood by you when all was said and done. Had you stuck to your guns, you may have been fruitful in this endeavor, but somewhere along the way, you lost yourself. A shame, since you only tried to give the world the same kindness it gave you. Erazor Djinn just barely makes this list as his motivations are justifiable in my opinion, but the whole abusive relationship with Shara is docking quite a few points. All of these guys though were done dirty when you really sit with it. The same could be said for a couple of other notable villains in the series as well, but at least their actions were contained. You can't say the same for one man who set in motion arguably the greatest evil that would terrorize this world for over 30 years.